Hey, and just a quick reminder that the audio-only versions of these Vital MX interviews are available on the Vital MX podcast page. Search for it anywhere you get your pods and let your friends know about it. What's up? This is Dark Side with Vital MX, and today I'm going to talk to my boy Kyle Chisholm. What's up, Chiz?
Oh, not much. Just got back from another day riding and getting ready for World Supercross. So, yeah, been fun, been exciting.
Yeah, I want to talk to you about the World Supercross thing. Obviously, that's the most current news, but I really want to jump back for just a minute through the season. How do you feel about your season, your Supercross season? You did really well on the East Coast 250s. You had a fifth, an eighth, a fourth, a seventh, like a bunch of top tens in 250 East. And then I think 450, I believe you were 14th overall. I feel like it was a really good season for yourself as almost a full privateer with a little bit of side work with Star.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, it was good. I had a lot of fun. And I would say overall, yes, it was good. I'm one of those perfectionist kind of person. Whenever I'll, critique everything, no matter how good I do or whatever, it could always be better. So, I always want to try to just improve. But just looking back as a whole, I think it was a good season. Man, I feel like, I know we've talked about this before, but even just comparing it to, the season before and the season before that, like 21 and 20 and 19, I feel like I've kind of had a steady improvement, even though I'm getting old, the old guy out there now, but I've had some pretty good improvement, the last, 4 or 5 seasons. So, again, I'm been healthy, which has been a big thing. It's always tough, obviously, in the sport to stay healthy, but I've been able to do that. And just, like I said, steadily progress, gotten older, but maybe gotten a little faster, I hope, or whatever. So, as a whole, it was good. Like I said, it's an improvement over the previous seasons. And then jumping back, getting that opportunity with Star to ride the 250 for a few races was really cool. A lot of fun, awesome team. I've known Bobby Reagan and a lot of the guys on that team for a long time, my whole career. And, so it was a lot of fun, obviously an amazing bike and team to get to ride for. And, just that little, snippet of the season, man, I feel like that was awesome. I had no idea what to expect. I knew the team and the bike would be amazing, but just hopping on it mid-season and having a couple days in racing, it's hard no matter how good you are, no matter how good the bike is.
Sure.
So, it was to get, almost a podium there at the 4th, St. Louis, top 5 at Foxborough. And then, like you said, the only other 2 were I think a 7th, whatever. And they, those were the first couple that I did. Just after a race or 2, we were right there. I got a heat race win and a couple top 5s, almost a podium. And for just short time on it and for what it was awesome. I'd never, if you'd have told me I would win a heat race and almost get a podium this year, I wouldn't believe you, whatever. Obviously I want that, but, so that was awesome. And then, like 14th in the 450 in points, I came into the season actually with COVID and had hurt my elbow. So I was off the bike for almost a month before Anaheim. So just missed the main there at Anaheim, which was a bummer. But other than that, it was a solid season on the 450. Like you said, 14th in points, but with, not even making the main at Anaheim 1. And then I missed 4 races racing the 250, to still be 14th after all that was awesome. I got some top 10s. And pulled some hole shots and got some good starts on the 450 as well. And, again, just a lot of fun. And I think, woulda, coulda, shoulda. I don't regret it at all by any means. But, if I just kind of finished where I should in like those 4 races I missed on the 450, I think I would have been, top 10 in points rather than 14th. But, again, I'll take the heat race win and the top 5s and everything on the 250, anyways. Either way, it's all good. But, like I said, as a whole, it was awesome. A little bit of if you told me Anaheim won how the season would have went, I wouldn't believe you either. Cause like I said, I had a rough December, coming into the season after a good off season, just a rough, 3 weeks before Anaheim, and sick and my elbow, hurt me and all that. So, no, really happy with the season. Thankful to all the sponsors as well that were with me through the season and all that. Yeah, it was awesome. A lot of fun.
Well, when was the last time that you came into a Supercross season with everything perfect? Whether you had a job lined up like months ahead of time or were healthy, like every year you have something you have to overcome.
Well, it's tough. Obviously it's not ideal.
Yeah.
And, some people might say, well, why don't you just get your crap together soon or whatever? And it's not that easy,
Right.
Doing your own program and doing it on your own. It's always a struggle. That's why, the goal is to be on a factory team or a really good team and, and all that stuff. You get a lot taken off your plate when you have that. And there's some opportunities I maybe could have that would take some stuff off my plate. But in the end, I just don't, for me, it's got to be good enough, as a whole, equipment, program, the financial, it's my job. So the money side of it, the program, the bike, the team, like what's the whole thing look like as a whole? Because I want to be as successful as I can. And I work my butt off and do everything I can to be successful. So, that it's got to be in line with, what I need for success. And a lot of times, unfortunately, it's not the easier thing to do, but the better thing to do is to kind of put my own program together, which is what I've done, the last 3 years and even a few years before that as well. So, that's not ideal. That's why it's tough coming into the season. But honestly, this year, I was probably more prepared than ever. And then, like I said, I would say like the first or second week of December, my elbow just started bugging me. I rode through it for like a week and I'm like, oh, it'll get better, to the point my elbow was just like locking up and I had no strength in my hand. And I had to take pretty much the rest of the month off, getting therapy and doing everything I could think of, acupuncture and all this stuff, just trying to get it better and doing therapy and stuff. And it was more just you need to rest it and let it heal and get better. And which is hard to hear, when you're 3 weeks out from Anaheim.
Yeah.
So I had to do it. I was off the bike. And then, of course, about, I don't know, the weekend before Anaheim, I wasn't feeling that great after a day or so. I took a test. I had positive for COVID. And it was not ideal. I was fine from that. Just, like I'm sure most people have heard, couple of weeks of just being, kind of just super low energy and never anything serious, but just sick, not feeling that great and just no energy. So the elbow, gosh, it made it a tough beginning of the season. But I honestly was actually more prepared than ever, had everything kind of set up and had a really good, end of October until December of training and doing motos. Me and Alex Martin, Troll, we're doing some good motos and training and having a good off season until that. But and then I think honestly, you kind of take that little bit out of my season, call it those 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And you kind of remove that. And I really have had a good season, from October through, now. Like I said, just had a few rough weeks with the elbow and getting sick. But other than that, I think all that work that was put in prior to that is what kind of came to light, once I was over being sick and my elbow got a little bit better. That's kind of why the season kind of progressed, I think, the way it did.
Yeah. You talked about your age, and you're kind of like the old saying, you're like fine wine where you get better with age. And maybe you're not as good as you were in your youth. Who's to say, but your results seem to speak for themselves. You're super consistent, which is probably better than you were in your youth. What is it about you right now that you feel makes you as successful as you are?
Man, I don't know. I feel, I've done a lot of thinking on that as well. Cause I want to know so it can be duplicated, right? So I can keep doing it, teach it to others or, whatever in the future, whatever I do. So, man, for me, it's been a lot of everything, little bits put together, but I think it all really just boils down from experience. And I don't mean experience like, oh, I've raced this many races or done, this many top fives or whatever. I just mean experience as a whole, being like my off-season training, my in-season training, my preseason, right before the season, through the season, my mental, like where's my head at? What am I thinking when I'm training during the week, at the race, when I'm walking the track? What am I doing, on the bike and off the bike as far as training goes? And then, like I said, and mentally, emotionally, when I'm at the race and in the moment, when it counts, when the lights are on, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. I think it's just, a culmination of my experience. Unfortunately, I've had a lot of bad experience and a lot of good experience, everything, all over the map throughout my career. And I think that just comes with doing anything. As long as I've done this, you're going to have that experience, right? Good and bad. And I've always just really tried to learn no matter what. I don't want to say I failed or had a bad day, but I learned, right? Because if you, what's the saying? I'll probably get it backwards here. If you fail to learn, you fail, whatever. But if you fail to learn, whatever it is,
learn to fail. Yeah.
So in my failures, I've always tried to learn something from that, right? And even in the successes, like I said earlier, it was good, but how could it be better, right? That was good. Let's reflect on it. It was really good. Here's all the good things, but here's the ways you could be better. So do what you did good, do that again, and then improve in these other areas, right? Get better all the time. So I've just, years and years, I've been able to kind of sit back and go, well, this didn't work, change it, and, trial and error, just keep going and going and going. And like I said, you've done it as long as I have. You kind of start to figure out what works and what doesn't. And then you're able to have more of the good rather than the bad and really implement that into your whole program. And, like I said, it's so many things. People just see us race on Saturday, but there's so much that goes into it, our personal life and professional life and, training on the bike, off the bike, at the race. There's just so much that goes into it. So, yeah, I just think my experience and I think there's a lot of people that maybe I'll say fail. That's a very, broad term, but somebody might have a failure personally, right? Their goal is to make the main and they fail. But I feel like people don't do a good enough job of really reflecting on the details and everything that they did so they can go back and change it, or maybe not change it, but take the good, change what was bad, and then try again, right? Recognize it, make a plan, then take action, and then you'll fail again, right? So you'll then recognize it, take action again, fail, and you just keep doing that to the top until you get it right. You know what I mean? So that's kind of, I feel like I've just been in a good place. I'll be 35 in, I don't know, a month or two, something like that. And everyone, every year we have this kind of, are you going to race again next year? What are you doing? And man, I've had a steady, little improvement. And I think it's a lot of my career kind of coming together and me being smarter. I wish I knew now, like what I'm talking about. I wish I knew that when I was, 18, 20 years old.
Of course.
I wish I had that, I probably would have been a lot better, but, that's where I am today. And like I said, just always trying to improve and enjoy it too. Like I said, I actually do enjoy it. If I didn't, it would probably be easy to just be like, whatever, on to the next one and kind of forget about it. But I do enjoy the challenge and learning and getting better and all that goes into it still. So that's been a big part of it. I don't need to get motivated to do it. I just kind of just am. I really enjoy it.
Yeah. We talked about this previously, but you won the Steve Mathis Privateer Challenge. As a privateer, finances are always an issue, probably, to get to the next race and make sure everything, the budget is balanced. How much help was that for you, that one event?
Man, it was huge. I mean, honestly, it came at the end of the year. So like, if that was like beginning of the year, be like, oh, okay, now I have this big chunk of money to kind of work with, whatever, to maybe do some things. Maybe I was a little tight on budget for or whatever, right? But at the end of the day, whether it came then or at the end, doesn't make that big of a difference. And gosh, it was huge. Like what Steve was able to put together, with everything with Pulpa Max, with Yamaha. Obviously, I'm a Yamaha guy. So obviously, thanks to them, obviously, for supporting Steve, and then Steve taking that and doing what he was able to do. And obviously all the people that supported it, the listeners, the community that supported that. And man, it honestly, I know obviously there's a lot of controversy of people talking about whether I should have been in it or not.
Right.
And, to me, I've already said this a million times, but it's a privateer challenge, right? So who's a privateer? I know that's a little bit of like a gray area these days in our sports with, some private teams versus factory teams and everything in between. But man, I literally, I buy my own bikes. I buy my own parts. I get a small little budget with Yamaha, but I pay my mechanic, I pay my travel, I pay for everything, to go racing. Obviously, I try to put sponsorship together to help with as much of that as I can. But at the end of the day, I am no different than the guy in his pickup truck. Rock River takes my bike for me. They have a semi, which is great. But other than, they haul it there. Other than that, that's a huge help and a great place to be pitted. But I'm on my own. My bike travels in there. But other than that, it's all me and whoever's, on Team Chiz, right?
Right.
So, with him doing that, it's amazing. Like I said, doing it on your own, the budget, man, I need to sit down and see what I actually spent this year. But, I mean, between bikes and travel, mechanic, and just so much adds up, sign up and race fuel and all that stuff. I mean, it's easily probably close to $100,000, to go race, to do 17 races. And, so obviously winning that and whatever it was, 27 grand was huge. That's a huge, addition to my budget that was a big help. So, we bust our butt, all the privateer guys. It was awesome for everybody. So everybody works their butt off, and for him to be able to do that was a big help, I know, to a lot of guys, so it was awesome.
Well, currently you're about to leave tomorrow for World Supercross with CDR team, Craig Deck Racing. How'd that come about? And I don't know what you expect right now as far as how the 2 races are going to go, but I would assume if nothing else, this is a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a little bit of practice for Supercross, American Supercross, coming in just a few months.
No. So it came together whenever they kind of announced what they were doing, the World Supercross guys, and how it was going to work. I actually submitted a team, me and my mechanic, Bobby, with kind of some help from Mike Duclos, the guys at Rock River. We actually submitted a team and, to try to be one of the 10 approved teams to do it. I think they had over 50, teams trying to apply to do it, and they only picked 10. So, I wasn't, sitting over there holding my breath that it was going to happen. But, we've been working on back here in the U.S., been working on my program, and you kind of know this, but I've been working on kind of building that into a bigger, rather than just my own program, but, adding a couple riders, kind of really making an actual team, right?
Yeah.
So we've already been working on that. And we submitted a team. So I had to sign all the NDA stuff, all the details, what they were doing. So I kind of knew before some people did, just being able to get some of that info. And obviously, the team didn't get approved. But when I did that, I actually talked to Jim and the guys at Yamaha about, hey, man, if this comes through, would you have extra budget? If we're able to get, a few other riders, he already knew we were working on next year stuff. But, hey, if this comes through, could we get some additional budget to put a team together? Long story short, the team didn't happen, obviously, so I was kind of here nor there. But Jim and the guys at Yamaha put me in contact with Craig Dack from CDR, and they are basically the factory Yamaha team in Australia. So being that the promoters are from Australia, it was kind of a given that CDR was going to be one of the teams approved. So Jim pretty much pointed me in the direction of Craig and kind of got me in contact with him. And we just started talking. This was back in May, right towards the end of Supercross. So that was already kind of in the works then. I actually had probably offers from 5 or 6 different teams for the World Supercross thing. But yeah, just the CDR relationship with Yamaha, basically being, factory Yamaha in Australia. And towards the end of Supercross, the 2023 450 testing I was doing for Yamaha and all that stuff, it kind of just worked out. It was awesome. Very thankful for all that stuff, and kind of just went right along and just made sense for me to be at CDR. So, that's how it came through. And they've been great so far. I haven't gotten to get down there and do anything, but obviously they sent me a bike over and trying to get back used to the 250 again. So that's been fun. And we actually had some issues with the engine getting held up in customs for 2 weeks. So kind of set my prep back a little bit from what was ideal,
of
whatever.
Course
but
it did.
It happens. Yeah. So it's part of it. That's it's not the first time. So no, it's good. But for me, honestly, man, the last 2 years with all the COVID stuff, most of the off-season stuff getting canceled and then not, nothing going on. For those that don't know, again, as a privateer, that's a huge, from September to December, there's usually quite a bit of off-season races, and I try to do as many of them as I can. We're able to make some pretty good money, as a privateer. That's a good time of year. There's no races going on, so we're not getting paid here. So let me go over there and try to make some money, right? So the last years with COVID, it's just been tough, not having any races to go do for a couple months. It's made it tough. So when this coming through, I'm like, gosh, finally we can get back to some off-season stuff, make a little bit of money, pay the bills, not have 4 months of, no money coming in. So, thankful for that, for the opportunity. I'm kind of as excited and, curious as everybody to see how it goes. So far it's been awesome. Obviously, of course, CDR has been great. it's down to 2 races right now, for this year. I hope they go good. I hope everybody, I know it's already been tough, but man, I hope everybody can get along, between Feld, MX Sports, the World Supercross. To me, at the end of the day, again, especially for me and personally, but even as a whole, it's the more racing, the better, right? The more jobs, the more racing on it. Like, why are people mad that there's racing?
Right.
I see stuff, on the forum, on Vital, and, and even just on social media, people are like, oh, this is so stupid and whatever. And I get it. There's some conflict with Feld and Sports and World Supercross, but like I said, I hope they can all get along. And at the end of the day, I hope they can all coexist, just because, like I said, it's more jobs, it's more racing. Like, who's complaining about more racing going on in October? You know what I mean? Somebody could go see Eli Tomac and Ken Roxon and however many other guys race in England and Australia in October. Like, why is that a bad thing?
I don't think it is. As long as they don't get burned out, I don't think it is.
Yeah, exactly. So I hope they can coexist, get along, figure it out, whatever, and just be another avenue of racing that people can watch, enjoy, do. Fans can enjoy it, and people in the industry can hopefully have an extra job from it, or a job from it. So yeah. Awesome,
man. Well, yeah, I hope you go over there. I'd like to see be successful, make some money. Thanks to also Steve Mathis Privateer Challenge. Because of that event and your success, you have another kid on the way from the post-race celebration. So, the Chisholms need to earn.
Yes, and it's another girl too. So I have 3 girls. So everybody pray for me. But so I'm like, 3 girls. It's going to get expensive later on. So I'm trying to make hay while the sun shines, right? Whatever. So no, like I said, in all seriousness, just enjoying racing and loving where I'm at, and just appreciative of the opportunities. Doing this, talking to you, fan. Just being able to do this towards the end of my career. Like I said, I'll be 35 in a couple months, and really. Part of, like you said, the we talked about earlier about the success for me is also just being appreciative, right? Like, there was a time when I kind of you get mad at the industry and stuff doesn't go right, and you get hurt and this and that. And I'm like, man, again, you have a lot to look back on now after all that experience, and just appreciative that I get to go do this, right? Because, in 5 years or whatever, when I'm not racing, well, I say I'm not racing. Hopefully I'm not racing. Maybe whatever. That'd be a good thing, I guess, if I could still be racing. But I don't know that I still want to be in 5 years. But anyways, you look back in years to come, and I'm like, man, that was really cool. I got to go to England and race. I got paid to go there. I got paid to go to Australia and race. And that's stuff that I don't take for granted. Like, even I'm not like that, but you just do it. People just do it. Naturally, in my younger years, I've won Paris. Podiums and done all that stuff. And looking back, I'm like, man, I wish I enjoyed it a little bit more. I was more appreciative of it, and it's tough because we're racers, we're going to do good, but it's in a good perspective for me now, at this point in my life and all that. So yeah, like I said, just enjoying it and trying to make the most of it while I can.
Awesome, man. Well, Chiz, I really, as always, I enjoy visiting with you and hearing what you're up to, and I'm looking forward to watching World Supercross since I won't get to go over there for those, but I'll be pulling for you as always. You know that.
Yep, I appreciate it. Yeah, I'll go have some fun and try to get on the podium.
All right, buddy. Be safe. Good luck, and we'll talk to you when you get back and see how the experience was.
Yeah, call when you get back. We'll go over it. Thanks, man.
Thanks, Chiz. See you, bud.
Okay, see you.
All right, bye.